You agree with that?
I agree.
You do?
I agree that I don't know that we can make it absolutely. Intelligent life, we're a unique species here on Earth. There's a lot of life here, but, we're the intelligent ones.
Whether or not there are aliens has always been the biggest question of mankind. During the Apollo 11 mission to the moon in 1969, Buzz Aldrin made history by being the second man to set foot on the surface of the moon.
I am Buzz Aldrin, and I was the lunar module pilot on Apollo 11.
Buzz Aldrin has also spoken of his own experience on board the Apollo 11 mission when they saw something flying alongside them. Let's open that mystery page to uncover what exactly happened on that fateful mission. And is there any proof that we are not alone in the cosmos? During an Ask Me Anything session on Reddit, the former astronaut opened up about the sighting, emphasizing that the unidentified object in question was definitely not an alien spaceship. When Buzz Aldrin received the question, "Do you believe in aliens and what are the sightings you saw aboard Apollo 11?" Buzz Aldrin gave his answer as, quote, "On Apollo 11, en route to the moon, I observed a light out the window that appeared to be moving alongside us. There were many explanations of what that could be, other than another spacecraft from another country or another world. It was either the rocket we had separated from, or the 4 panels that moved away when we extracted the lander from the rocket and we were nose to nose with the 2 spacecraft. So, in the close vicinity, moving away, were 4 panels, and I feel absolutely convinced that we were looking at the sun reflected off of one of those panels. Which one? I don't know. So technically the definition could be unidentified." End quote. Regarding what Buzz Aldrin saw himself during the Apollo 11 mission, he said that he saw was not necessarily aliens. But he also did not deny their existence. He said, "We well understood exactly what that was, and when we returned, we debriefed and explained exactly what we had observed. And I felt that this had been distributed to the outside world, the outside audience, and apparently it wasn't, and so many years later I had the time in an interview to disclose these observations on another country's network television. And the UFO people in the United States were very, very angry with me that I had not given them the information. It was not an alien. Extraordinary observations require extraordinary evidence. That's what Carl Sagan said. There may be aliens in our Milky Way galaxy, and there are billions of other galaxies. The probability is almost certain that there is life somewhere in space. It was not that remarkable, that special, that unusual that life here on Earth evolved gradually, slowly, to where we are today. But the distances involved in where some evidence of life may be, they may be hundreds of light years away," he said.
Well, it could be. If we find out they exist, then it's because of their communication to us, but they're going to be a long ways away.
But that's not all. Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, by contrast, is convinced that aliens have been seen on Earth and that humans have made contact with them. He also claimed that top military officials had given evidence of UFOs, potentially alien spacecraft, and that they were particularly fond of hovering over White Sands testing range in New Mexico. He started talking publicly about his less mainstream beliefs in 1973, just 2 years after landing on the moon, when he abruptly left NASA, divorced his wife, and founded the Institute for Noetic Sciences. He used that as a platform to discuss exploring new worlds in ways separate from known science or religion. He became convinced that extraterrestrial life had been visiting Earth and helping humanity along a more spiritual path. On July the 23rd, 2008, In the broadcast of Kerrang radio program in the UK, Edgar Mitchell proclaimed to the world that he believed in the stories of witnesses claiming that a UFO from another world had crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. He believed that the government cover-up of UFO information and that extraterrestrial beings began visiting at that time and continue to do so. He stated that Earth has been visited by creatures from other worlds on various occasions, some of which he had insider knowledge of during his time at NASA. He said, "I happen to have been privileged enough to be in on the fact that we have been visited on this planet, and the UFO phenomenon is real," Dr. Mitchell said. "There have been a number of respected individuals who have spoken similarly, and some of them may also possess insider information, but none of them have the impact of Mitchell's statement." Mitchell said he knew some UFOs were real. However, he also stated that many reports of UFOs are not of extraterrestrial origin. At one point in a meeting, after remaining largely silent, a former NASA astronaut, Scott Kelly, stood up to share a UAP experience he had while flying a F-14 Tomcat fighter jet. He said, "I remember one time I was flying in the warning areas off of the Virginia Beach military operating area there.
We flew by a UFO."
Space.com asked Kelly what he thought about the numerous former pilots, intelligence officers, and government advisors who had appeared on cable news programs and series in recent years, claiming that the U.S. government is aware of objects or crafts that defy conventional wisdom about aerodynamics, propulsion, and physics. What was it Carl Sagan said? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence? You know, they have every right to make extraordinary claims, but without the extraordinary evidence, they're just claims, Kelly said. In a court of law, eyewitness testimony, I'm not positive on this, but that's considered evidence. In science, it's part of a hypothesis. It's like, oh, we can see this, let's go investigate it. Kelly said that the kinds of extraordinary claims associated with some of the reported UAP sightings, popularized in the media in recent years or mentioned at last Wednesday's meeting, is largely due to the fact that when flying over water or in space, it can be difficult to gauge objects' speed and size due to the lack of reference points. If you see something that you know is in an airplane, and you know generally how big airplanes are, you can tell relative distance, Kelly said, but when you have no reference points, whether it's in space or flying over the water, it just is really an environment that's really prone to optical illusions. Kelly added that it's not just human eyeballs that are subject to misperceptions, but that many of the sensors aboard fighter jets and other aircraft have the same issues. Another example Kelly brought up was a video published in 2017 in the New York Times reported on it titled Gimbal, which reportedly showed an encounter between a U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet and an unknown object in the U.S. military airspace that appeared to rotate while hovering stationary in the air. Kelly thinks one reason that UAP sightings seem to be on the rise is that the topic has become destigmatized, particularly in the military. The former astronaut said when he was flying fighter jets in the Navy, if a pilot returned to their carrier and said they thought they saw a UFO, then alien would be their new call sign for the rest of their career. Today, it's much different, and pilots in the U.S. Armed Services now have formalized processes for reporting unexplained or unidentified phenomena or objects they might see in the air or water. Following Kelly, the explanations for the phenomenon might be the topic deserves serious scrutiny. Because there is an issue, Kelly said. I mean, we have stuff that's flying in our airspace that's supposed to be for mostly commercial air travel. And it shouldn't be there, or at least we should know what it is. So I do think it's worth the investigation, he said. Aliens definitely exist, Britain's first astronaut has said, and it's possible they're living among us on Earth, but have gone undetected so far. Helen Sharman, who visited the Soviet Mir space station in 1991, told the Observer newspaper that aliens exist, there's no two ways about it. There are so many billions of stars out there in the universe that there must be all sorts of different forms of life, she went on. Will they be like you and me, made up of carbon and nitrogen? Maybe, maybe not. Then, in a tantalizing theory that should probably make you very suspicious of your colleagues, Sharman added, quote, "It's possible they're here right now, and we simply can't see them," end quote. For your information, Sharman was the first of 7 Britons to enter space. A former Pentagon official who led a secret government program to research potential UFOs, revealed in 2017, told CNN at the time that he believes there is evidence of alien life reaching Earth. The next series of flights were the Gemini missions, and in December of 1965, astronauts James Lovell and Frank Borman reported a UFO sighting on the second orbit of their 14-day mission. Mission Control advised the unidentified spacecraft reported was the booster rocket. However, Borman reported he could clearly see and identify the booster rocket and was reporting something different. Lovell confirmed the sighting. Perhaps one of the most sensational UFO encounters occurred during the Apollo 11 mission, though. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin experienced an interruption in transmissions of image and sound for over 2 minutes that were explained away by NASA as a camera overheating problem. However, this explanation was later contradicted by comments from a senior NASA official upon his retirement. Christopher Kraft related a discussion between Armstrong and Aldrin in which they described spaceships lined up on the other side of a moon crater, visitors observing the Apollo instruments and who were watching them from a distance. These transmissions were also picked up by hundreds of amateur radio operators, but were quickly dismissed as nonsense at the time. Undoubtedly, there is ample evidence of UFO encounters that NASA is aware of, yet they are clearly participating in some kind of official cover-up, characteristic of the U.S. government and military. Far too many ex-astronauts are coming forward with first-hand accounts of their experiences for this denial to continue. These UFO encounters are related by highly trained professionals and report unknown objects approaching close to their aircraft or spacecraft. As experienced pilots, they are more than aware of flight performance and capability, yet the UFOs reported exhibit flight performance beyond anything known to human technology. John Ramirez, a former CIA officer, has come forward with compelling evidence about UFOs that has allegedly been concealed from the public for years. John Ramirez shared a story about a peculiar encounter he had. He claimed to have come face to face with what he described as a reptilian alien. Moreover, he boldly claimed that these reptilian aliens are presently living among us, an idea that is often associated with conspiracy theories involving influential and wealthy individuals.
But I acknowledge that there might be Earth forces that have been here, residing with us, that may have this contact with humans, that the humans were perceived as being harmful and not very friendly.
In February 2023, he gave an interview on Podcast UFO, during which he warned of an oncoming alien revelation in 2027. According to Ramirez, the recent disclosures, whistleblowers, and underwater discoveries are all part of an intentional narrative to prepare the population for the day that aliens show up. A day, he says, is only a few years away. Here's what Ramirez had to say, with minor edits for clarity. We're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension the world population, to that reality, that there is a presence here and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, there will be mass panic, Ramirez said. A policy that has apparently been reversed. Ramirez continues explaining that authorities had no real choice in the matter because aliens have a standing appointment to knock on our door a few years from now. He said, "In many ways, I think the world got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027, and we better be prepared. I've heard 2027 in kind of an official capacity I can't reveal. I would say people in the government are aware of something happening and that there is limited time, a few more years, to prepare the people," Ramirez said. Another former CIA member, actually Director John Brennan, also shared a similar viewpoint, proposing that UFOs could be a different form of life. He clarified that the triangular craft sightings, often associated with UFO reports, might actually be related to known military technology operating in our atmosphere, not space. He proposed that this confusion is intentional, as it helps keep people unsure about what they are witnessing. In some discussions, there have been suggestions that the United States Air Force might be responsible for sightings of triangular aircraft, often referred to as the TR-3B. In an interview on Balance with Leyland Vitert, Burchett was asked about the Navy's possession of additional UFO videos that are being withheld from the public due to national security concerns. If anti-gravitic crafts do exist, there is a possibility that such technology will be disclosed during the ongoing disclosure process. Former Senator Harry Reid has already suggested that Lockheed Martin may possess materials related to UFOs, implying the potential existence of advanced technology. Lou Elizondo believes that the disclosure process and possible international cooperation could lead to remarkable technological advancements. Renowned investigative journalist Ross Coulthart recently shared a fascinating story on Twitter. In his tweet, he posted a link to a YouTube video featuring John Ramirez, who disclosed intriguing information about ongoing investigations into unidentified aerial phenomena by a secret agency known as UFOC. According to him, these investigations have been happening since the 1940s and continue to this day. Ramirez emphasized that UFOC's efforts go beyond the well-known Pentagon's AATIP program. He stated that even in the 1980s, there was a well-organized initiative similar to AATIP. While the extent of their progress remains uncertain, it is evident that these investigations have been taking place for a long time. Additionally, he shared his personal experiences, which include encounters that could be described as alien abductions. On the podcast UFO Show hosted by Martin Wills, Ramirez discussed a noteworthy revelation regarding a potential event set to occur in 2027, as we've talked about. This event, according to him, is expected to bring to light something of significant importance, prompting preparations among the populace. He posited that certain entities, which he refers to as demonic, are present on Earth. He suggested that these entities manipulate our beliefs to create doubt in what we hold to be true during the conversation. The U.S. held a hearing at NASA headquarters at the end of May 2023. The public had some blunt questions about UFOs, or as the government now calls them, unexplained anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. NASA has historically steered clear of anything involving UFOs, leaving the matter up to other federal agencies, which operated clandestine UFO programs for military and non-security purposes. The world's top space agency was more concerned with searching for alien life far beyond Earth's atmosphere, around planets orbiting other stars, for example, than weird things in our own sky. But UFOs have been popping up in the news quite a bit in recent years, thanks to newspaper reports on those secret government programs and the resulting congressional hearings that have recently taken place. But last year, NASA's administrator, Bill Nelson, seemed to succumb to the pull of UFOs and directed the agency to form a panel of experts. Spergel and the other members of the committee stressed that their goal was not to conduct an exhaustive investigation of every frame of grainy footage, but to provide a roadmap for NASA that details how the agency could contribute to the future study and analysis of UFOs. The panel did not have access to any classified data either. That approach was bound to provoke those who believe that some reported UFOs have extraterrestrial origins, and that the government, and perhaps now NASA too, is hiding that fact. But, from another angle, because of public interest, it is more likely that NASA will establish a separate UFO office to collect, store, analyze information about UFOs, or rather, field of UAPs. On October the 19th of 2017, a Canadian astronomer named Robert Work was reviewing images captured by a telescope known as Pan-STARRS when he noticed something strange. The Pan-STARRS telescope is situated atop Haleakala, a 10,000-foot volcanic peak on the island of Maui in Hawaii, and it scans the sky each night, recording the results with the world's highest definition camera. It's designed to hunt for near-Earth objects, which are mostly asteroids whose paths bring them in our planet's astronomical neighborhood, and which travel at an average velocity of some 40,000 miles an hour. The dot of light that caught Work's attention was moving more than 4 times that speed, at almost 200,000 miles per hour. It was an interstellar object, a visitor from far beyond the solar system that was just passing through. But you know what? It was the asteroid named Oumuamua. Avi Loeb, a Harvard astrophysicist, said, "Oumuamua didn't behave as an interstellar object would be expected to," Loeb argued, "because it wasn't one," he said. "It was the handiwork of an alien civilization." In an equation-dense paper that appeared in the Astrophysical Journal Letters a year after Work's discovery, Loeb and a Harvard postdoc named Shmuel Bialy proposed that Oumuamua's non-gravitational acceleration was most economically explained by assuming that the object was manufactured. It might be the alien equivalent of an abandoned car, floating in interstellar space as debris. Or it might be a fully operational probe that had been dispatched to our solar system to reconnoiter. The second possibility, Loeb and Bialy suggested, was the more likely, since if the object was just a piece of alien junk drifting through the galaxy, the odds of our having come across it would be absurdly low. In contemplation, the possibility of an artificial origin, we should keep in mind what Sherlock Holmes once said: "When you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth," Loeb wrote in a blog post for Scientific American. Space isn't as empty as people tend to think it is, especially around objects that have enough gravity to trap other objects. That said, what we know about space, about the universe, and about this world is as small as a grain of sand in a desert. It is very possible that there are things that astronauts or scientists have not yet revealed to us. What do you think of that? If you believe or do not believe in the existence of aliens or UFOs, leave a comment in the section below and share with us your opinion. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.